Folks, 52 points and 701 total yards means that Oklahoma fans now get to back off of Dillon Gabriel and Jeff Lebby moving forward. No more stupid tweets, no more stupid conversation about what the hell the problem is in Oklahoma, because we know one thing: it's not Lebby and it isn't Dillon Gabriel. Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Big week this week. If you're an Oklahoma fan, it's definitely a big week. About the only thing that kept it from being a perfect Saturday for Oklahoma fans, I would think, would have been if they hadn't have blown that call in Austin that should have been a targeting. It ended up in a turnover for Iowa State. They end up not going down and being able to score and either tie or win the game. More great news, though, if you're a Sooner fan. Well, first off, Okie takes it on the chin. All that big talk out there in Stillwater is just about how we expected. They lose a game they shouldn't lose. Even though, you go down to a 24-7 lead, 10 minutes left in the second quarter, and you've got a 24-7 lead. You proceed to score 6 more points for the rest of regulation and then give up a touchdown to TCU to lose. Pretty bad deal if you are, Oklahoma State. Big win for Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers. That's, of course, Josh Heupel, the former Oklahoma quarterback, national champion. He's Tennessee Volunteers knock off number 3 Alabama. First win over Alabama in 16 seasons. So amazing job by those guys. That was one of the best football games I've seen all season. But anytime Alabama goes down, something I saw on Twitter the other night, America wins. So big win there. And then, of all things to have happened, especially with the way that the USC Trolls have been out lately, Lincoln's USC Trojans go into Utah and also jump out to a pretty good lead and can't hold off Cameron Rising and those pesky Utah Utes, losing 43-42 towards the end of the game. Big 2-point conversion for Cameron Rising. Listen, Caleb Williams, I'm not bad-mouthing that guy. I love him. I think he's a great player. He did everything he could for the Oklahoma program. He didn't leave right away. He played in the bowl game. He does not owe Oklahoma anything. So you're not going to get any bad-mouthing of him. He had an amazing game, 380-something yards. 5 touchdowns himself. Listen, if you can't win that game, it turns out, it just goes to show you it was a lot of the same stuff that was going on in Norman whenever Lincoln was the coach here. And of course, he's got the same defensive coordinator, but that's a good thing. If you're an Oklahoma fan, like I said, you've got Lincoln lost, Okie State and their big mouths lost. Heupel goes and knocks off Nick Saban, the biggest crybaby in the world. Not the biggest. He's a little behind Jimbo, but they're right there together. Anytime, I'm so sick of Alabama, so I love it anytime they lose. The only thing that would have been better would Texas would have lost, but beggars can't be choosers. It's a good deal for Oklahoma overall. The main thing is to come back, get a win after 3 straight losses. That's big for them. On our reaction show today, we are going to run down. We're going to talk a lot about Oklahoma bouncing back in that game. And we're going to go to a quick commercial real quick, and then we'll be right back to talk about Dillon Gabriel and that offense's amazing showing in that first half and overall in that win over Kansas. Hey, folks, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame, College Football Podcast. If you'd like to help support our show, we have a fabulous way for you to do so. We have teamed up with the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world, Fanatics. That's right, Fanatics. Now, the next time you need a new hat for your favorite team, shirt, even memorabilia, all you have to do is go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. At the bottom of the page, there is a blue Fanatics logo. You click on it, then shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store, and we get a small commission for everything you purchase. It's a win-win. So again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. You help the show and save a bunch by doing so. It's a win-win situation, and we get to continue bringing you fabulous content week after week.
Yeah, it's tough. You see your guys that you work so hard with and feel like, I wasn't out there to help, be with them. And obviously it left a bad taste in all of our mouths, but shoot, just had to keep grinding and find a way to come out on top. And I think that's what I love about our guys. They're very selfless and look themselves in the mirror and see how can they be better for this team. And I feel like everyone did a good job about that this week.
Nothing more needs to be said to Dylan Gabriel or about Dylan Gabriel not being up to the task of being the quarterback of this football team at Oklahoma, folks. No more stupid tweets. No more bashing on him or Jeff Lebby for that matter. This game in this win over Kansas, 440 yards, total yards. He was 29 of 42 for 403 and 2 touchdowns through the air. He added 37 yards on 10 carries on the ground, another touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns, 440 yards. That makes in his last 2 full games that he actually played, in the Kansas State game and, of course, this Kansas game, 830 total yards, 7 touchdowns to 1 turnover. Or I'm sorry, 2 turnovers now. They were both in this game, And then he got people over there. Now, listen, I understand that he missed a couple of third downs and fourth. But, folks, you realize that was 550 total yards of offense in that game, in the Kansas State game. This game, they had 701 total yards and a half 100. 52 points. You can't tell me that this was, if there's an issue, it certainly isn't Dylan Gabriel. And for that matter, it's not Jeff Lebby either. So stop. I can tell you, I don't think that you need to be pointing the finger at anybody in particular. I talked in my last video. You can take a look right here at the one above. There's the information. You can just click on it. But I tell you what, as much blame as anybody gets, including Lincoln, there's a lot of blame to go around. But I think that you need to take a look at the guy who started this whole thing in motion 6 years ago, Bob Stoops. He wasn't the same guy, and he has still cast a shadow over this. That's what this video is about, is his level of influence is too much. I know I got a lot of heat from you folks in there in the comments section. That's fine. But the truth of it is, if you just go back and actually look at the video, not just the thumbnail with the headline on it, I explain what I'm talking about. And the bottom line is simple. They kind of put training wheels on everything for Lincoln. Now, was that defense going to get better under Lincoln? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not with Alex Grinch, and which I don't understand why Lincoln he's at major programs that you can go get the big boys for the trenches. Why aren't you doing it? If you're coaching at a place like Tech, maybe you need to do that. But you don't have to do that at Oklahoma, and you certainly don't have to do it at USC, not with the fertile recruiting grounds you got in these 2 places. What I will tell you is, if there's a big issue right now, and this is an issue that's being addressed, it's defense. The K-State game, they give up over 500 yards. You just have to know that. And then, of course, the next week, Max Duggan just goes crazy on them as well. And then, of course, in the Red River game, that wasn't good either. Listen, defensively, you got to stop somebody. And even in this past game, what I will say about the Kansas game, yeah, they gave up 42. And you can, if you want to really be picky about it, they gave up 42 and 400 and something yards to a backup quarterback. But I'm going to tell you something. There was, I mean, you got to give some credit where it's due there too. They made some adjustments. You had some good turnovers that were forced. You had that one interception where the kid tipped it with one hand and then brought it in anyway. And then they got another interception later in the game. Listen, bottom line is when you go out and you're Dylan Gabriel, you go out there and you put up 35 points and over 500 yards in the first half, you're doing your job. And this is coming off a major concussion where he had to miss most of the TCU game. He got hurt very early into the second quarter of that game, missed the Red River game. And, but I think that he showed with his, what his leadership really was. Let's take a look at what he was talking about. A couple of the things that he had to say here. Obviously, you just saw with that about how happy he was to be back in it. But let's just talk a little bit about his leadership skills and why maybe we should back off this kid.
There was a point during meetings this week when you guys are watching film, everybody got spread out. He brought everybody down to the front, be together. Yep. He said he felt like that was sort of like, oh, here's our guy. Was that an important moment for you to sort of? I mean, I know getting back on the field was the most important today, but was that a moment for you that you thought things are starting to? This feels like I remember it before, sort of.
Yeah, I think with that certain situation, I just. It's such a little thing, but, when guys are spread out and sitting far back and there's kind of seats in between, I like to fill it up, you know what I mean? Make sure we're all close. And like I said, it's so little, but it's also a big thing in making sure, we're all committed and whatever, people say, let's go do it, with whatever it is. So it's funny looking back at that because we were just joking around, having a bunch of fun. But, like I said, the little things truly do matter.
The little things really do matter, he said. And that's exactly if we're talking about culture, which we've been in the last couple of videos and stuff, but that's the culture that Venables and company is trying to instill in these guys. This is a guy who came in with 8,000 yards and 70 touchdowns before he ever got to Oklahoma. Now, bottom line of whatever you think about who he was or what he was coming in, you weren't getting Caleb Williams back. He was gone. He is gone. Okay? Gone with Lincoln. And you can't even blame him for going. The people that are loving all this, crying Caleb stuff, I'm not getting on Caleb Williams. I'm not doing it. And I don't want to hear any of that crap either. Don't come at me with that one. What I'm going to tell is Dylan Gabriel Caleb Williams? No. He's not supposed to be, but what he was generally the general consensus is he was the best available quarterback in the transfer portal. It's pretty obvious what he means to this program right now for winning games right now, because without him, I mean, look at what happened. I mean, and listen, you can say what you want about the game plan for the Red River. Hey, listen. They took a shot with the, Wildcat type of stuff. I didn't necessarily agree with it. But what I'm going to say, if we're going to talk about that kind of stuff, Levy was the most sought after offensive coordinator in the country also. Go look at Lane Kiffin, ask anybody if they wanted to lose him. They didn't. Okay. So, but just talking about Dylan there, and he's talking about how important it was something as simple as that. In the meeting room, everybody's way spread out. They're watching, and he decides to, take it upon himself and say, hey, guys, get up here and fill in these chairs and let's get closer. He was talking about being closer as a unit. And what did Braden Willis say? He says, man, that's our guy right there. That's our guy. They look to this kid. And we're over here bashing him in Twitter and everywhere else, all over social media. I've seen it everywhere. Knock it off. That's enough. When you put up 701 yards in a game, 500 in the first half, and half 100 points, it doesn't have anything to do with the offense. Just pray that the guy stays in the game. he doesn't get hurt again. But, I think it's pretty obvious that his leadership ability is it's just a big thing. It's so important. What did he say? The little things truly do matter. And, part of those little things, as fans, you guys have got to step up and do a better job than just attacking these kids and expecting things that they lost a lot of guys. They had 43% turnover off of that roster in total. In the entire coaching staff, gone, done. Okay. Expectations were a little high, thinking that they were going to go to the freaking playoff or win the conference championship. Chances, pretty much that the chances to win the conference are over. Now, they still have stuff ahead of them. And when you listen to some of the things, when he was talking about the concussion protocol a little later on in this, in the interview session there, he was talking about how he took that first 48 hours very serious, not using the cell phone, watching TV, any of that. He said that out of both of those days, he probably was only awake about 8 hours each day. The rest of the time he slept, rested. It was important to him to get back as soon as he could. He's really was grateful that he was able to get back when he did too. Another thing that I really liked hearing from him, and look, I've said it, I think it was a dirty hit that he took at TCU. I think that it's pretty clear that it was a dirty hit. He says, I didn't want to be angry, and I don't believe there was any ill intentions by him. Talking about that TCU linebacker. That's pretty stand-up. He didn't have to give him that the benefit of the doubt there. He didn't have to. Pretty stand up. And then the one thing that I keep noticing, you keep hearing him say, I'm proud for our guys for digging deep in the way that after the last 3 weeks, to dig deep like that and come up with a win the way that we did. I was proud of him. He's always deflecting praise. He got a lot of praise during this. He should have gotten a lot of praise for the game, but he always deflects that. But he did, even though, I'm going to tell you, I don't think he deserved any of that crap that he got after the K-State game. Did he miss a couple of receivers? Yeah, he missed a total of like 8 passes out of 38 or something like that. 8 or 9 passes. No turnovers. 391 total yards, 4 touchdowns. And he did, you know what though? Everybody was giving him hell and giving Levy hell, but it was him. But he took responsibility for that. He said that he had to do better. Look, I don't know what else you can do as far as leadership's concerned. And I don't know who any of you thought was going to be hanging around the transfer portal that was going to be better than Dylan Gabriel. I know Chip Kelly wanted him pretty bad. So I think that, I think I've said enough on that. But folks, bottom line is simple. These guys stepped up and did what they needed to do in a big position. I don't want to hear any of this about the fact that, hey man, it's just Kansas, blah, blah, blah. They were number 19 in the country. They gave TCU all they could handle a week ago until they lost their starting quarterback. When Jalen Daniels went out, they lost by 7. 38-31 was the final score there. And look, they gave, even still, look at what they did, putting up 42 with their backup against Oklahoma. Yes, the Sooners still have some issues to work out on that defense, but to pick up a couple of turnovers themselves, it seemed like that they were in place to be able to make plays more often than you've seen in the last few weeks. And guys, this is going to just be a work in progress. You just have to know that. I think that's pretty clear. But, also on that offense, talking offensively, look at the way that, Eric Gray has just stepped up. He had 20 carries for 176 and 2 touchdowns the other day. You've got Javonte Barnes, freshman from Las Vegas. He's contributing 21 carries in the game the other day, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're moving along at the right pace on the offensive side. On the defensive side, they're a little behind, but they're also a little behind in body type and what it is that Venables is trying to do. I have faith that he's probably going to figure that one out. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the country, period. Hey, folks, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame, College Football Podcast. If you'd like to help support our show, we have a fabulous way for you to do so. We have teamed up with the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world, Fanatics. That's right, Fanatics. Now, the next time you need a new hat for your favorite team, shirt, even memorabilia, all you have to do is go to our website first, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. At the bottom of the page, there is a blue Fanatics logo. You click on it, then shop as normal. You're going to get up to 65% off everything in the store, and we get a small commission for everything you purchase. It's a win-win. So again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. You help the show and save a bunch by doing so. It's a win-win situation, and we get to continue bringing you fabulous content week after week.
Well, that one wasn't as much fun as the first ones we've had, but it was a good game, really good college football game. I think it's pretty simple. This game came down to their ability to rush the football, and we couldn't run the football very well. Turnovers evened out. We were better in third down than they were. We hit a fourth down, they didn't. So really the biggest difference, in my opinion, is their ability to rush the ball. I think they averaged a little over 5 yards per carry, and I think we were at 3.6 or 3.7. And that was really the difference. But in the fourth quarter, I thought that they did a better job scheme-wise than coaching than we did. And then they made some plays at the end to get them over the hump. I think I'll be fairly accurate in saying that.
Yeah. So that was Mike Gundy on why or what he thought the difference in the loss to TCU on Saturday was for his Oklahoma State Cowboys. It was, to him, came down to rushing. He said that 3 or 4 times. Awfully nonchalant there, a lot more about that. You know what? The part that I liked in that whole deal was, we're better on third down, and we converted on a fourth down. They didn't. That had a lot to do with it. The turnovers were the same, 1 and 1. So question: if you have a turnover in an important part of the game, like, when you're ahead, let's just talk a little bit about something real quick. Okay, so the rushing game. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you want to look at that overall at the end of the game, and you probably could have done a little better job running the football. My thing would be this. Oklahoma State, at the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, had a 24-7 lead on TCU. They proceeded to score 6 points in the next 2 and almost full 3 quarters. Before going to overtime, they scored 6 more points. They're up 24-7. They score 6 more points. It gets to overtime. In the regulation, bad Spencer Sanders shows up. Bad Spencer. You've got good Spencer that that's great runner out as the quarterback. He could throw it a little bit, but he's not throwing it great. And just a couple of examples. His agility. His ability is to beat you with the run, but that's really all you can count on when it comes to Spencer Sanders. The running game, come on, man. And then talking about the third down conversions. One time they went for it on fourth down. Well, you didn't get anything done. After that, I mean, it was just, let me tell you exactly what went after so after that 10:04 mark of the second quarter, when they scored that, they got to 24-7 on that touchdown. Here's the results of their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possessions for the rest of the game. 8 possessions. They went punt, punt, field goal, punt, interception, punt, punt. So, yeah, it was the rushing. Guys, this is what Oklahoma State does all the time, and I've been loving it. Twitter's such a weird place, but it's been funny that, to me, these last, obviously, and especially since Oklahoma started losing, you got the guys over there in Stillwater pounding their chest. They're loving it. All these Oklahoma State fans are just trashing Oklahoma and loving on themselves. And especially having, somebody said in there, the defending Bedlam champions. Are we making a Bedlam championship now? It's a championship? Well, since you don't win conference championships, I would probably call it that. Yeah, I get it. This was a tweet. I've got it. In fact, I do have it. Let's pop that up here, right there. Yeah, look at there. Defending Bedlam champions. All right. So, look, you knew this was coming. You knew this was coming too, because for Pete's sake, guys, you get up to a 24-7 lead. It's time for you to go step on somebody's throat, and you go punt, punt, field goal, punt, interception, punt, punt. And in the overtime, there's basically, Sanders is still being bad Sanders. He actually threw 4 incompletions in the overtime. The one was actually, there was a holding on his team, so they moved him back. That was on first down. Then they had 3 more incompletions, and they get a field goal from Tanner Brown from 52 yards to get on the board in the overtime. Give up a touchdown, ball game. When you went up 24-7. But Mike, he said it was about the rushing game. It wasn't about the rushing game. And it's about what it is that these guys they don't have the ability. And you can see it in some of these guys. I mean, there was the couple of the kids that were really upset after the game. And it almost looked like, fed up with the way that things are going in Stillwater. And they ought to be. I mean, it's the same kind of stuff. This kind of stuff that he says, it's so full of crap. This is a man who's been in Stillwater for 18 years as the head coach. He's got 3 wins over Oklahoma. One of them coming last season. And there he gets that win. They go to the Big 12 championship game, and they choke it up. They love to tell you that they lost by 6 inches. No, you didn't. No, you did not. You lost by 4 interceptions by Spencer Sanders. 4. In that game, ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Sanders he was 31 of 46, 246, and 4 interceptions. And Oklahoma State scored 16 points, lost 21-16. Now, at the end of the game, they almost scored. They were 6 inches short of the goal line as time went away. That's what you lost by? No. You lost by the 4 freaking turnovers that you had in the game. It was a choke job. Just like they tried to choke it away before that. And look, they were if you win this game, you are in the driver's seat for the Big 12 championship this year. You've gotten everybody out of the way except for Texas and Oklahoma. All the teams that are leading it out. They've gotten Baylor. They already took care of them. They're still going to have to play some games, but look, they're undefeated still. They're going to have Texas this Texas game. Watch, but they were in the driver's seat. Had a clear line, too clear a line. That's what I think it was. It was just too clear of a line for them to get in. So they're going to make it hard on themselves. Now, guess what? Now they are hosting Texas next week, and we're going to find out a little bit about UT. We're going to find out a little bit about UT. They held on against Iowa State. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But what can they do on the road? And Oklahoma State's had their number the last few years. Now, that being said, they didn't have to play Quinn Ewers. And you want to talk about a guy that can throw, he can actually throw the football. He only had 172 yards against Iowa State the other day, but he had 3 big touchdowns. That offense is looking really good with Quinn Ewers. And the defense, Max Duggan went 23 for 40, 286, 2 touchdowns through the air. He had 11 rushes for 57 yards and a touchdown on the ground as well. They gave up, 224 rushing yards to the Horned Frogs. They only scored 6 points for the rest of regulation to allow it to get to overtime. They did score a touchdown on their first possession of the overtime after TCU did as well. Then they get the ball again. They kick a field goal because you have Spencer Sanders throw basically four incomplete passes. He got a hold on the first one. They move him back. He throws 3 more incompletions. And, I mean, for Tanner to hit a 52-yarder, that's a long kick for a college kid. That's a big-time kick. That's his fourth. Yeah, it was his fourth of the day. And look. And then what did happen? You get bad Spencer again, just like the Big 12 championship game a year ago. Every time a big game comes up, and I'm not just blaming it on Spencer Sanders, but I obviously they're putting him in a bad position to be successful is a big part of that. And we got a little out coached. You think, Mike? I think you got way out coached. And what is it really what happened? I mean, he sat there and said, I hate to say without looking at it what the problem was and everything, why we weren't doing this, why we weren't doing that. He said Sanders overall, he played pretty good. He did not. You know what he did? He completed 16 of 36 attempts, a touchdown, and that interception in the fourth quarter that was very important. 16 to 36. That's 44% passing. He added 2 touchdowns on the ground, 68 yards. That's what he does well. But, I mean, when you only put up 6 points, it tells me that one side was adjusting well and figured out what they needed to do to get back in the game and win it, and the other side didn't. And this is just what Oklahoma State does. And literally, you want to know why? No, why are you little brother Oklahoma State? Because of that. You can't even, when you have the best opportunity, when Oklahoma is at its worst. And Texas was at its worst last year. They went 4-8. You smoke Baylor during the regular season, put it on them, and then put up 16 in the Big 12 championship game. 4 interceptions by Sanders. Again, it put him in a bad position. When you only put up 16, that's a recipe for disaster there. Dave Aranda's a heck of a coach. He's doing a good job. But what I'm saying is that Gundy just comes up small. And he's got his little perpetual 5-year deal going on. How does this happen? So, again, as an Oklahoma fan, everybody's happy because you see them fall on their face again over, they should have blown the game out. They should have blown TCU out in their own building, and they somehow couldn't put anything together after halftime or after 10 minutes into It was 10:04 left when they got it to 24 points. Didn't do anything after that. 52-yard field goal. They 4 plays for -10 in the second overtime there. This game just served as a reminder who bad Spencer is and who bad Mike Gundy is. They just don't do a good job of, he said, it was a pretty good football game. No, was it? It was a boring football game. They were in trouble. My guy on Twitter talking about that towards the end of he's talking about, man, Okie Light's in trouble on Twitter. Yes, they were. But the Gundy theme's funny. Their ability to rush the ball was the difference. We're better on third than they were. We hit the fourth down. They didn't. None of that had anything to do with what happened in the game. And nobody said anything to him about it. Nobody gave him a hard time about it in the press conference. And, kind of held his feet to the fire or anything about it. Okay. Well, TCU has a clear line to the championship game now. They're going to have to play Texas as well. But now you're looking at Oklahoma State, and these guys have to go in and they have to play Texas this week. They get them at home, thankfully for them. But I would say, look, in these big spots when they need to win, they just don't do it. They just don't do it. Now what's your excuse going to be? Oklahoma State fans, little brother, what's your excuse going to be? Good grief. Funny deal, man. And hey, look, all the props in the world to TCU and Sonny Dykes and Lincoln's little brother and the way that they're doing things. Hey, look, it was obviously time for a change there at TCU. They've been a defensive team, but they needed a little bit of offense, maybe a new voice in the locker room. They've come out and they've made good on, they put it on Oklahoma too. Of course, Oklahoma lost Dylan Gabriel early, and that defense is just struggling. But I'll tell you another thing. You Okie State fans are going to sit there and keep talking that trash. The guy that was telling me that, that on Twitter that said called them the defending Bedlam champions. He said that he thinks they're going to kick Oklahoma's butt again. Well, they only do it. This would be number 20 all time if they do it. And I don't think they've ever won 2 in a row. And who's to say? If Dylan Gabriel's in the game, why not? I would be willing to. If it matters, if the game really matters, they won't win. They just won't. That's what they do. But yeah, perpetual 5-year deal for a guy that's got one conference title. So we're going to see. We're going to take another break here, and we'll come back and talk about Texas. But way to go, Okie Light. Way to go. Man, help him make an Oklahoma fans' day.
From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
That we spoke to said it was the most joyful occasion they've ever experienced here, a real patriotic moment. And in fact, when you look around the country, there seem to be celebrations happening just about everywhere.
I thought it was a way to be a part of American history.
Rocky Top, this is college football, and it's absolutely party environment, man.
Because fuck them, that's why. Because fuck them, that's why.
Oh, Randy, obviously, nobody knows. And that's the problem, okay? The question is, man, is he down? Man, is it targeting? So they said they were only reviewing the targeting. The fact of the matter, it looked like his knee was down. But again, I'm sure it's like anything else. We'll get no clarification.
Oh, Matt Campbell. little irritated there, is he? Listen, we're going to take a look at that as well here in just a second. Quinn Ewers goes 17 of 26 for 172, but 3 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson has 228 rushes, 135 yards, and Texas hangs on for its third straight victory since opening Big 12 conference play with a loss on the road at Texas Tech. Avoiding a possible, what looked like a targeting call to Matt Campbell. He was out on the field pretty upset about it. 24-21 win for the Longhorns, though. That's 3 straight wins following that defeat, obviously, to Texas Tech to start off. Ewers, it's been big for him coming back, obviously, for the Longhorns. You know, he was 17 and 26 in the game. Didn't have a ton of yardage there. Probably taking what he's given him, but it appears that, I mean, obviously, Bijan had 28 rush attempts, so I mean, they were feeding them. And listen, for Texas, that's their first win. They lost 3 straight to Iowa State leading into this game. So that's a big win for Sark. That's a big win for Quinn Ewers. He's proving that that's who they need. Now, let's get to this, though, a little bit about, is this a targeting play? And on top of that, we can go back and also take a look at the the knee down situation, which is what Campbell was talking about. And he stuck his head in there, bro. It's going to slow it down. Okay, look at where his knee is, though, too. Looks like his knee is down before the ball comes out. I mean, they're saying it in the booth. I did not watch this game live, so I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, that it for sure was. But let's just take a look. I mean, let's, you know, coming in, drops. Look at this. Boom. Head. And, okay, his knee is down. The ball has not come out yet. In fact, both knees are down. But how is this not targeting? So they get away with one. They get away with one there. And as you saw earlier, the one right before that, you had tough. It's a tough go of it for those guys, you know. And you know, you got to say that. The one thing I'll say is, Matt, and then they got to find a way to win that one. It shouldn't have even got to that point where he had to make that run, because you had right before that, you had the dropped ball. Let's see. Texas. Oh, there it is. Yep. So 24-21, they go to 5-2 on the season. Their only losses coming to obviously Tech and then Alabama when Ewers got hurt. I mean, this Texas team, they're back in the mix for. And here's what we were just talking about in the last segment. You've got Oklahoma State, who just lost a game that they had that they could have afforded the Texas loss if they were to lose this week, because they beat TCU down. So they would have had a tiebreaker with them or whatever, as long as, you know what I mean? They may end up playing TCU again that way. Now they have to win this game. And when you got to win a game, that's what they don't do. And you still got to get through the rest of your schedule, which includes Kansas State, which includes Oklahoma. You know, sorry, but I don't trust you. You know, I mean, to me, I assume that they're not going to get it done. Hunter Deckers goes 25 of 36. He has 329, 2-1. And Ewers, of course, 3 touchdowns, 172. You know, Texas had 191 yards on the ground. Iowa State, they did not run the ball as well. So that's one thing that Texas is doing a lot better as well. The one thing that, you know, if you listen to Gundy in the last segment, their rushing game wasn't good. Well, it's probably not going to be much better now that you have Patterson calling the defense there, or, got the defense set up to be more successful, particularly stopping the run. You didn't see Alabama run the ball very well against them, but Deckers is the real deal. Listen, bottom line is whether or not they called that, they didn't call it, so it's not going to matter. At this point, it doesn't matter. Now it's up to Texas to find a way to. They still haven't shown that they can play very well on the road. It's time for them to find a way to do so. You're at a point now that's what you have to do. So this is a big game for them. But right now, this is two teams that they just hadn't really shown up well in big games lately or over the past few years. And I'll say it again about Oklahoma State. They just come up small. That's just what they do. But when you've got, and to me, yours is the real deal. Spencer Sanders, he can run. I don't know if you're going to be able to run against this defense. You better throw better. But we'll see. Anyway, look, yours is, he had 2 touchdowns to Xavier Worthy, one of them to Jordan Whittington. And out of his 3 TD passes, his first-year quarterback continues to bolster the job security of Steve Sarkisian. They get this win against Oklahoma State this weekend. It could be big. And, as I said earlier, that was the one thing that kept it from being a perfect day was the Texas deal. Had they called that targeting, then you get, they're getting pretty close down to the goal line anyway. But, of course, you had a drop pass. They could have gotten in there anyway. Iowa State needs to find a way to win that game too. But I tell you what, and it's something I saw from the guy from Big 12 country on Twitter the other day. He was like, we'd lost that game any other time, in the past. And I agree. Those are the games that Texas has been losing. They lost that kind of game, having a 10-point lead in the second half against Tech this year. So it's important, but obviously this is the same thing that Oklahoma State does. So we're going to find out. So one of these two is going to separate themselves. The other one's probably out of the race. If Texas loses, they're for sure almost definitely out of the race. It doesn't look good for it was definitely a missed opportunity for Oklahoma State. They had a chance to really pretty much put themselves in the driver's seat for at least the championship game, and then we would have had to figure out what they do then. But to me, I think that this is the time. If I'm going to pick Texas at any point, it would be this weekend, because this is just what little brother does. Again, good game by them. Then let's see. Let's go into the rest of what we had to talk about. Hey, listen. The other great thing, if you're an Oklahoma fan, the other great thing about Saturday was the Saturday night special. Lincoln Riley falls on his sword at Utah. They get out to a lead as well and find a way to blow it. Squander 300 and let me find this game. They squandered 381 passing yards with 5 touchdowns by Caleb Williams. After jumping out to a 28-21, well, at one point they were up 21-7 in the game. And it started to look like they were going to get away with it. And then Utah cut it to 28-21 at the half, and then outscored them in that fourth quarter. They only had 14 in the entire second half, and then Utah had 22 in the second half. So the last one being, listen, huge game by Cameron Rising. Man, I'll tell you, I've been saying this a lot, but that team at Utah and with that coach, these guys just seem to get things done. And what a just amazing game there. And then of course, Lincoln Riley's complaining about the officiating. listen, man, I watched that game, and if there was some bad calls, I mean, it was going both ways for sure. But how are you going to blame officials whenever you're really going to blame the officials, Lincoln? You get, almost 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns out of Caleb Williams. He on the ground, he adds another 57 yards on the ground. Jordan Addison's getting his way. Mario Williams getting his way. That you got to find a way to win this game. But this is what Lincoln does too. Now, granted, they're running their speed D deal, which I guess that's kind of what USC has, but they're under the impression, these fans from USC that love to be on Twitter and talking about, I can't wait till they get a little bigger on that defensive line. That's not really how they recruit. So good luck with that. But you're going to have to, for them to do anything, they're going to just have to outshoot everybody. And with Dan Lanning in Oregon, I really don't see that happening that much because they're going to get big on that line, on the defensive line, and they might be too big for him now. Cristobal wasn't shy about that either as the head coach at Oregon. And on top of that now you've got Utah has the tiebreaker in the case that, because they both have one conference loss. So what'll have to happen, they're going to have to beat UCLA. They don't play Oregon during the regular season. They're going to have to beat UCLA. UCLA is undefeated. They're still undefeated, and they beat Utah a week ago. So, the tiebreaker would go to Utah as it stands. And I don't know that there's anything that can be done for the Trojans. I don't know that they're going to make the Pac-12 title game. It's a big loss, man. It's a big loss for them. And, I'm not going to sit here and troll Caleb Williams for the crying stuff after the game. He's emotional. This is a guy that, again, I don't blame the guy for leaving with Lincoln. He recruited him. He's put 2 guys into the Heisman and with number 1 picks, had another, Jalen Hurts after his year with Lincoln goes in the first round, late first round. They're 6-0 after last night beating the Cowboys. He's had a good year. He throws the ball better than he used to. But look, man, how do you blame him? How do you blame Caleb for going? And you know what? Whatever his dad was and whatever he said, I don't want to hear all that stuff. Then that was a lot of that stuff that was Mike Farrell lying about what he read in that freaking paper. It's not what was going on. That's not what was said. He was saying he didn't like what was said after the fact on Twitter and places like that. Come on, OU fans, that's what happens. But look, he doesn't owe anything to Oklahoma. Caleb doesn't. He followed the coach that recruited him originally, and he had an amazing season a year ago. He orchestrated the biggest comeback in Red River history to beat Texas. Great. He had a call for the Heisman last year. If had Lincoln played him instead of Spencer earlier, he probably wins it. But he stays around, plays in the bowl game, leads him to a victory in that. He was nothing but classy. I don't know what all happened with the recruiting stuff and between him and Venables and stuff, but how could you expect him to stay? He doesn't owe Oklahoma or Oklahoma fans a thing. So was I glad they lost? Absolutely. But he balled out. So the people that are being ugly about him and stuff like that, which whatever, man, that's on you. And he's a kid. And he made a decision for himself, and I'm not hating on him for it. Lincoln, on the other hand, fuck Lincoln. But no, he got what he deserved, and he was, I wish I'd have seen him cry instead. Then let's kind of finish it off talking about this. The greatest game I've seen it's the best game I've seen this season. Yeah. Tennessee Vols and Josh Heupel, former Oklahoma quarterback, national title winner in 2000, and then later co-offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops, who got fired by Bob Stoops, but went on to great success at UCF. Now in his second season at the helm in Knoxville, and comes up with a monster win. Knocks off Alabama. It's the first time in 16. This is the first time in 16 seasons that Tennessee's beaten Alabama. 15 straight losses. They didn't have Twitter the last time the Vols beat Alabama, and you're getting a lot of this talk about coming out of. I don't know that it's coming a whole lot out of Alabama or the program itself. You're getting a lot of bitching, though, about the 17 penalties called on Alabama. They didn't play well. And it took all of that, too, for them to lose it. But honestly, what an amazing game by Hendon Hooker. I think he may have won himself the Heisman. If they continue playing like they are now, if they continue and I guess coming up next, I believe they've got, I want to check that real quick, but all right. So just Hendon Hooker goes 21 of 30, 385 yards, 5 touchdowns and an interception. But 5 touchdowns to this guy. Hyatt was uncoverable. I mean, you let one guy score 5 touchdowns. That does not sound like does that sound like an Alabama defense to anyone here? This is not something, they're not going to let one guy get them. They did. That guy went off 6 receptions, 207 yards, 5 touchdowns. All 5 touchdowns by Hendon Hooker go to Hyatt. But I tell you, the defending Heisman champion, sound like a freaking Oklahoma State guy. The defending Heisman winner, Bryce Young, also has a monster game, and came in hurt, got banged up. He kept getting hit. They were bringing pressure all night. Stands in the pocket and goes for 455 yards on 35 of 52, just 2 touchdowns. But of course they had Gibbs that had 3 rushing touchdowns as well. I mean, what a football game! What a football game! And every time it looked like one of them was going to pull away, the other one would pull off a play. And but Hooker, and that was the other thing, is that they could have won the game, or pretty much had it won. Down, they're going for it on a 4th down. You get a pass interference call down there. The ball was underthrown a little bit, but it allowed the receiver to kind of get bumped into. Caroms off of the receiver's hands, gets intercepted, but they call an interference. They get another shot. They score on the next play. Great football game. Great football game, man. Something else. It was just something. But, big game there. I mean, and for Josh Heupel, man, I mean, good for him, man. If you're in any of us guys, I mean, listen, I'm not one of the. Here's the one thing that you got to say about Heupel. I agree with a lot of people that this should have never happened. He should not have been fired. It should have been Mike Stoops. Because he made him change his offense to suit Mike's defense, to help it out or whatever. They do that. They're fine on offense. It's defense that was hurting them too. But he goes away. That being said, and it's a shame that I think that that's a big problem for Heupel. I don't know how much. He said he hasn't had a word to say, or they haven't spoken at all. Him and Bob Stoops have not spoken since. That's a shame. But big game. But he was awfully excited. I'm gonna pull up that movie that video of him. Oh, here it is. Give me 1 second here. But big. Hey, listen, they get the field goal there, and big. It's a big time game, and big time win. For that program, they're the real deal. You kind of wondered the other day if after beating LSU, are they the real deal? They are. I mean, I think that there's no doubt about it now.
All right, Coach. Hey, how much fun is this? Man, Rocky Top. This is college football at its absolute best. Team competed 60 minutes, these fans phenomenal.
She got him a cigar. So, yeah, big win for them as well. Folks, if you please hit that subscriber button. We really, really, really need subscribers. We are over our watch hours. I mean, we're definitely picking up viewers. We need you to hit that button. Hit that button for us. That helps us continue to bring you amazing content week after week. We'd appreciate that. Obviously, if you would like to help out the show as far as helping support the show, you can do that. As you've heard all day, you can do that by buying the gear that you're going to buy anyway. The next time you need an OU jersey, the next time you need a Baylor jersey, the next time, whatever it is, if your baseball team is still in it right now, hey, World Series coming up, whatever sport it is that you're following, professional or college, go on to Fanatics. This is the #1 team merchandise retailer in the world. We are partnered up with them. All you got to do is hit our website, and you're going to get amazing deals. hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. Click that logo at the bottom of the page. Shop as normal. We'll get a small commission for doing it. Everything you buy, we'll get a small commission for by going through our link. You get up to 65% off everything in the store. So check it out. Again, hofmedia.us/fanatics. Also, folks, get in that information for your NIL collectives. Everybody in the Big 12, we want to promote you. We will put everything on our website. We'll put everything on our videos, on our weekly videos that recapping everything that happened in the Big 12. So hit that. It's NIL Verify. NIL Verify at hofmedia.us is the email. That's also in the description below. Do that. We'll make sure that we get that out there to try to help raise some of this money for these student athletes. It's important to us. Even the teams we don't like, we want to help. So Okie State, please do step on in. We will help out with your collective as well. Folks, I appreciate everybody coming in. We'll see you on the next one.